pressure up the middle. Runs away. Throws across his body. And that is picked. 49ers have it. Greenlaw. San Francisco takes over.
Well, that was just a little more than 24 hours ago. Good evening. This is the Fox 6 Sports Blitz. I'm Brandon Cruz in our Milwaukee studio. And look there, Tim Van Vorn and Lily Zhao. They are in Milwaukee. They're at Mitchell International Airport as they just walked off an airplane coming back from that game in the Bay Area. We will get to them in the moment, but here is our starting lineup. The 2023 season is in the books for the Packers as we take a look back at their loss to the 49ers. Then we look towards the future as this young team is ready to get to work on 2024. Devontae Wyatt makes us say what? We also take it to the max as we talk Wisconsin hoops, and we finish up on the ice for this week's High School Hot Shot.
I think it'll sting for a while, watching all the games going forward. I think it'll sting just knowing that, we had an opportunity to win, and, we dropped the ball on that one.
Just never gave up. No matter what anybody said, whether it was y'all, anybody else, we stayed together and we held on as long as we could. That's as far as I've ever been in the playoffs. It's hard to get in the playoffs regardless, and then to get all the way to the Divisional Round, it's a hell of a deal.
Nobody thought we would be here. Nobody thought we would make it to the second round of the playoffs. But it just shows that if you buy in, you believe in each other, you block out the outside noise, and you guys work together, offense, defense, special teams, and you really come together. It's hard to stop. It's that chemistry. You build chemistry. It's hard to stop.
So much to talk about after that 24-21 loss in Santa Clara last night at Levi Stadium. Tim, I want to start with you. Let's look at this game for what it was. The Packers controlled it for the most part, but then key mistakes here, there, and then especially late ended up turning this from a Packers win into a Packers season-ending loss.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That's a summation, Brandon. I thought the Packers missed opportunities as the game went along, and then when things got tight down the stretch, San Francisco made the plays and Green Bay did not, and then that's what you have, a top seed advancing and the underdog throwing great punches and having an outstanding opportunity to advance, coming home with their season ending short. The Packers will be able to dissect this thing. They'll go through the exit interviews. They'll look at all the film, and they're going to say we missed chances offensively and defensively. But they'll also say, with all that having happened, they still had the chance down the stretch to win the game, and that's where they really faltered.
And Lily, you were in the locker room afterwards. What were they saying about the mistakes they made, about missing a field goal, about missing interception opportunities, about not being able to stop Christian McCaffrey when they had to?
Right, they were remiss about it because these guys knew the chance that they had, right? A number 7 seed going into the home of a number 1 seed on the road and knocking them off. These guys were very disappointed because, again, they knew the kind of tight-knit group that they had, right? They believed that they could win this game, but knowing that they, let a lot of opportunities go. Jarnell Savage drops that interception, the missed kick from Anders Carlson. We can talk about this all day, but these guys know they had it in their grasp. They were all very disappointed, but they all kind of pointed, Brandon, towards the future of this team, knowing that a good core will return for this group so that they have a chance to learn from this loss and build for the future. But no doubts about it, though. This team very disappointed knowing that they had the win in their grasp. They were the better team for about 55 minutes, but, the Niners proved that, that veteran juice helped them, I would say, kind of make note of the big winning plays down the stretch. This young Packers team not quite there just yet.
And Tim, we've seen Jordan Love really mature through this season from where he started and where he kind of bottomed out midway through to where he ascended to get to this game. And then he just kind of made some mistakes late there, especially that last throw when all they needed to do was get to maybe the 40-yard line of the 49ers to have a chance to possibly tie this game. What do you take away from his experience in this game in particular?
I think it will be a terrific experience, exactly as you said, Brandon. I didn't think he or Brock Purdy played particularly well. Neither one was very sharp. I thought that the swing of the game really took a lot away from the Packers. The missed field goal, the momentum shifting. Love seemed to get in a little more of a desperation mode there at the end. He didn't need to, I agree with you, but he didn't play the way we had seen him for several weeks. I think Jordan Love has indicated that he's a legit quarterback in this league, an elite quarterback in this league. I look at the body of work in the second half of the season, and go off that. The tail end of the game, it's too bad for him, this record viewership of people watching that game, and that's what they're going to remember of Jordan Love. It was not a good way to end things, Brandon. It was kind of a panicked, not well-executed situation for the Packers on a lot of levels once Carlson missed that kick, offensively, defensively, and then, of course, Jordan Love with that bad pass.
And Lily, how did Anders Carlson react to his mistake, to missing that field goal? I know that he did speak and he did own up, but what was he like after he was explaining what happened in that moment?
I will say he was very even-keeled. I mean, I know, a lot was put on him because of the missed kick, and we can talk about, obviously, the offense could have done a lot more to help this team win. But, when it comes down to living and dying by a rookie kicker, that's kind of what you get if you're committed to the team, like Matt LaFleur said. I think the report was very interesting when they said on the broadcast that Matt LaFleur, every time he sees Anders out on the field, he kind of prays. I don't think you want to have that feeling, right, with the rookie kicker. But I will say he was very even-keeled, didn't blame any part of the operation, said the snap, the hold, everything was good. It just was up to him to make the kick, and he did not execute. So it's going to be something that he's going to be thinking about all off-season long as the Packers try to see if they can really shore up that position, Brandon, because at the end of the day, you don't want to have just one rookie kicker that's struggling. We'll see if there's any sort of competition there in the offseason.
And just to interject, Brandon and Lily, I think it's clear that it wasn't Matt LaFleur's decision to ride Anders Carlson. It wasn't the coaching staff's decision. You heard Rich Bisaccia, the special teams coordinator, and Matt LaFleur kind of break a few times in their comments late in the season. They would have preferred a different option, I do believe. Yeah,
we will have to see what they do at that position once they start to have people come in and start their OTAs. Well, it is halftime, and that means it's time for the FOX6 Blitz Instapoll. You can go directly to the question right now by scanning the QR code on your screen or just going to our website, fox6now.com. How does the Packers season end in 2024? Will they miss the playoffs, losing the wild card, losing the divisional round, losing the NFC Championship game, losing the Super Bowl, or win it all? We are looking forward to your answers. We will show them throughout this show on the FOX6 Sports Blitz as we move on to the second half.
We haven't even scratched the surface, honestly, I feel like. We just got to, dial into this offseason, like I said before, and just, come back an even stronger group next year.
Who knows what the group will look like next year, things like that, but, everyone in the locker room is definitely motivated to get back after it and get ready for next season.
I think, that's a good stepping stone, for guys to see. And, now that we know, or now that those guys know, fully expect, guys to, hit the ground running and, attack the offseason and, come back ready to work.
It's a young group that there's a lot of promise for the future, but nothing's guaranteed, and our guys are going to have to attack this offseason and with, like P was talking to the guys, with the championship mindset, and they got to put in championship work if we expect to get those championship results.
All right, we touched on it just moments ago. Let's start with the kicking position. Are we going to see, Tim, a lot of competition for that job because of the way Anders Carlson played, especially in the last 10 games?
My suspicion would be yes. I think Anders Carlson will be back for sure, and he could easily win the job again next season, but I don't think he'll be back alone. Obviously, this year they did not have another kicker in the picture. From training camp on, that will be different.
All right, Lily, when we look at this upcoming season in 2024, clearly it seems like Jordan Love is going to get that contract. How soon do you expect that to happen, and what will that say to the rest of this team once that deal is done, if it is done?
I think it will get done. I'm not quite sure on a timetable yet, Brandon, but I do think that they will extend Jordan Love. I think, like Tim mentioned, he really proved that he can be the future for this franchise at the quarterback position, just with how he played and how he progressed as a first-year starter. I think once they shore up his contract and extend him, that really does show everybody in the locker room that, listen, we found our quarterback, we found our leader. Everybody on the offensive side and defensive side have responded very well to Jordan Love. They believe he is the leader, and rightfully so. So I think it's going to get done. Not sure on a timetable quite yet, though, but Jordan Love very deserving of that contract extension for just how well he progressed literally from game one to the divisional round.
And Tim, Lily touched on it, him being a leader. He had to take on that role as being the quarterback of the Packers. But what was special about him in that room? You were there every week. You were there in Green Bay at practices. You were at every game. What did you notice about the way his leadership style led that group of players into the playoffs?
The consistency, Brandon. He really does not behave differently if they're down, if they're up, if he's getting all these glowing accolades, or if the spotlight is on Aaron Jones or Christian Watson or somebody else. And I think that really resonated with this group of young players. The Packers talked about this group growing together. They wanted to see that possibly come to fruition. I think it will. You look at the way these receivers have come along, the tight end, Jordan Love. It's all moving together as scripted by the Green Bay Packers. Now, Aaron Jones is much older, but clearly Aaron Jones is critical to that offensive attack as well. So I think the leadership that you talked about, Brandon, was in the consistency from Jordan Love. And for that reason, I think they believe he can continue to go on and be successful, that this wasn't some one-off.
And here is Aaron Jones talking about the leadership of Love.
We got us a great quarterback. I mean, he's shown it over what week is this? 20, 21? He's shown it over 21 weeks. And I think he's just going to continue to get better with the reps he gets and, his time with the guys up front and me. I think it's my job to make his job easier as well. But I think he's shown that he's a real deal quarterback.
All right, so he talked about the guys up front. Lily, do you expect many changes in that offensive line that really played well, especially in the last month and a half of this season?
Yeah, we'll see what happens with Josh Nijman. I know, he's kind of in that, free agent talk as well. We'll see what happens with him. But, I think a lot of the guys that were starting this year have really earned their spot to keep starting. But I think the big question is David Bakhtiari. What happens with him? Of course, his salary hit is going to be very big on this Packers team if they keep him. If they release him, they, of course, free up a lot of cap space for 2024. So I think the big question for that offensive line is, the veteran presence of David Bakhtiari hasn't played in quite some while due to injury. What happens with him? With how well the young starting five has played this season, I do believe that if they do move on from him, the future's still very bright at that position for, all five of those guys. And again, they have a lot of reserves that are stepping up as well. So I think David Bakhtiari, one of the big question marks heading into the offseason.
And you are looking at a list of the unrestricted free agents coming up in 2024. Tim, when you think about this next season's roster, where are the biggest question marks right now? I know that this season just ended last night about this time, but where are the big question marks as we start to look to next year?
Well, I think you look at the secondary, at the safety position in particular. But I would also say just with the draft capital this team has, you're going to bring in 5 of the top 100 or so players. Those should be good players. Those should be contributors. What positions will those be at? How much will they push who they have on the existing roster? How much will that influence decisions contractually with players who have there? You may not say that's a position of weakness, but if the Packers grab a player, pick 75, you're going to assume that player is going to come in and play, if not immediately, as the season gets going or right after that. So guys are going to push to play here, Brandon. There's going to be internal competition. I think safety is a position that definitely can be upgraded through the draft. Wide receiver, you don't have to. Tight end, you don't have to. Running back, I think you'll see some running backs added to Aaron Jones.
All right. Finally, Lily, does Joe Barry come back after what we saw this defense do, especially the last 4 weeks?
That's a tough call, Brandon. A lot of difficult decisions to be made, but I think if this team wants to be a championship caliber defense, it might be time to move on. But again, I'm not making those decisions. We will see what they do because, again, if he stays or goes, it'll really change the outlook of this Packers team moving forward.
All right, I know I said he would be gone during the season. I was wrong. Well, the Packers are not the only ones who overachieved this year. Steve Stricker was named the PGA Tour Champions Player of the Year for 2023. The Madison native won 6 of his 16 starts, including 3 majors, and he earned nearly $4 million, which means he won that award as well, which is the Arnold Palmer Award. And then for low scoring, he won the Byron Nelson Award. He swept all the awards for the PGA Tour Champions. And one more note, he's going to be inducted into the Wisconsin Sports Hall of Fame in April. We'll be right back with Say What.
Did you find yourself channeling your inner Hulk tonight?
I don't get your question.
I've been rated high as a funny man.
Certainly, you're talking about one of the all-time greats.
Want the Hulk voice or Jan's voice?
That's a good question. I mean, me personally, I feel like I could have got better. I could have did better, but it's my second year. Right, chill, right? Golly, I can't do it.
Golly, it was a lot of fun for the Packers as they made this right into the divisional round. Obviously, their season comes to an end, but they were having fun. You know who was having fun this weekend? Max Klesmit for the Badgers. He scores 20 consecutive points for them, leads them to a big win over the weekend at the Kohl Center as they knock off Indiana. I'm telling you, he can get on some heaters, and we saw that in their win on Saturday. Well, let's check in on our Instapoll question. Remember, you can go directly to the question right now by scanning this QR code or go to fox6now.com. How does the Packers season end in 2024? Right now, the majority of you are saying they're winning it all. We'll look for more of your answers coming up at the end of the show. And thanks for staying with us on the FOX6 Sports Blitz. He discovered his sport of choice inspired by family history and discovered his musical instrument of choice inspired by a namesake. Here's this week's high school hotshot.
I'm Miles Newman. I'm a junior at Greendale High School, and I'm a long track speed skater here at the Pettit. My mom and my uncle used to skate, so when I saw the Olympic trials on TV, I just happened to ask, why did we never do this? And my mom thought about it for a second, and she was just like, yeah, I don't know. When I first went to go get on the ice, I forgot to take off my skates guards, and I stepped on the ice and just full slip. Especially from last year to this year, I've just improved so much. Last year I was just skating sometimes that would be considered pretty slow for a person of my age to times that are actually really respectable. From when I first watched the Olympic trials is that I wanted to skate in those trials the next time they pop up. Obviously I didn't because I was still too young to at the time. Now these next trials coming up in 2 years, that's my main hope. I do speed skating and marching band. So my gym teacher used to call me Miles Davis because Miles Davis was one of his favorite musicians. And when I searched up Miles Davis at the time, the first picture that showed up was Miles Davis with an alto sax. So I'm like, you know what? Why not try that, right? And here I am still 6 years later playing the same instrument. Greendale High School Marching Band went to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade this year. So we got to head out to New York for a little bit longer than a week. Live TV to the entire nation. The performance itself was really great. I think it was probably the best we had sounded. We stayed on time, we stayed in step, that everything was just in the right place. I'm Miles Newman. I'm a junior at Greendale High School, and our marching band got to march in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And I'm this week's FOX6 High School Hotshot.
Well, Miles also plays in the concert band, pep band, and jazz band. It's always good to see, and they were fabulous in that parade. We still have more to come on the FOX6 Sports Blitz, so stay with us. Well, you have spoken, and right now you think the Packers win the Super Bowl at the end of next season, a little more than a year from now. Well, let's get back out to Mitchell International Airport. I think this might be the first time we've ever had the FOX6 Sports Blitz from the Milwaukee airport. And Lily, when you look at this season, what do you take away from this Packers season?
I think, Brandon, my biggest takeaway is that they have found their future quarterback. I think this year was a big evaluation period for Jordan Love in his first year as a starter to say, can he replace, a future Hall of Famer after a future Hall of Famer, right? So can he become the third? We don't know yet, but I do think that he is proven to be the next franchise quarterback. And I think that's what this Packers team learned this season. And Tim, we have about 40 seconds left. Tomorrow they clean out their lockers. What kind of feeling do you think you're going to get from them? Obviously, they were depressed last night from the loss. They've had a little time to think about it. What are you expecting tomorrow?
I expect it to be upbeat. I think the coaches have talked to these guys since that game and build for the future. Guys, we did a lot this season. You can nitpick things that happened in that game. This has been a positive season, way ahead of schedule. But I would remind you this, Brandon. Dallas wins 12 games every year. They don't go to the Super Bowl. Buffalo thinks it's going to be in the Super Bowl every year. Not in the Super Bowl. Packers have been a top seed. Not in the Super Bowl. It doesn't just automatically happen. This was a chance missed. All right, well, we will see what happens, but it was a season to remember for sure. For Lily Zhao and Tim Van Voren at Mitchell International, I'm Brandon Cruz. Thanks for watching the FOX6 Sports Blitz. We'll see you next Sunday night.